Welcome to the SnapCast podcast, where two friends who love Magic the Gathering, Brad O'Brien and Zach Moeller, talk about all things competitive, casual, and financial in the world of MTG. Good evening.
Hello. How's it going, Brad?
It's going all right. It's really the wind down time of the school year. Like, this is literally finals week.
Oh, that's right.
Yesterday I was behind what I described as a land yacht. It's like one of those super big-ass RVs towing another trailer behind it, doing 10 miles an hour coming onto campus. Like, these folks were not experienced pilots. I don't know. And I'm just thinking, like, this must be somebody's parents.
Coming to pick them up.
And
all their crap from the school year.
And they drove in from wherever they came from in an RV, towing a trailer to get all of this student stuff. Mm-hmm. It was pretty wild. We had some fun end of the semester events and got to see people that were like totally stressed out about their finals. And I just thought, man, I'm so glad that's not me.
I kind of forgot that this week was graduation / finals for a lot of college age kids.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that have a lot going on. I don't know what it's going to mean for, like, it seems like we've had a lot of new people coming to the shop. And I don't know if they're all, like, going to go home for the summer now.
Yeah. I know a few that I've been speaking to. They're mostly high schoolers.
Okay.
Juniors, seniors, so they're probably still going to stick around for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as for the college age kids, who knows?
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, it is very cool to just see
new faces.
New faces, exactly. And I think I pointed this out when we did that box cracking, and maybe even when Leaf I think when Leaf came, when we were talking about it, I didn't reiterate that the first person I played in the first round of the pre-release for New Capenna was somebody that had only been playing Magic for a month and that had started on Arena.
Oh.
And so he sat down across from me and he was like, so this is my first paper event. This is my first time playing paper Magic. I started a month ago on Arena. And I was like, you guys do exist. Like, people that found Magic through Arena that come to paper. So
you have transitioned properly, basically. You found it on Arena, you found it on the digital platform, and then you're coming to the actual physical portion of it.
Right.
So that's good to see.
Hanging out with real humans. He represented himself well, even though I did kind of crush him. But
I think I did too. I think I ended up playing him round 3, and he said basically the same thing to me, was that he was brand new to the game, hadn't played Paper Magic, but had really been enjoying pre-release. So hopefully he was at draft last night.
Oh, was he?
I said hopefully he was at draft last night. I didn't draft.
I also didn't draft last night. So normally at our local shop, Tuesdays is Modern, except for right after a set comes out.
Yeah.
I have zero interest in draft.
Yeah, I've kind of been on that same boat for the past several sets where I just don't draft. I'm terrible at drafting. I usually just rare draft, and it's not my format. So
yeah, I haven't played any Magic since I saw you last week. That's not true. I played EDH.
Oh, okay.
I actually got to cast my very first Insurrection.
Ooh.
In a game of Magic.
So what's that do?
That says I'm going to take everybody else's creatures, and then I'm going to untap them, and they have haste, and I'm going to swing them back at you.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that I'm trying to perfectly tune my Vial Smasher deck, but I realized that I had a lot of low-cost spells in a deck where the commander says it's going to do damage equal to
the CMC.
Yep. And so I started looking at, okay, what effects do I have in there that I could find a slightly higher power level, higher casting cost version. So, like, I run Toxic Deluge because it's just an EDH all-star staple. When you have to wipe the board, it gets around indestructible. It does all these great things. But it only costs 3 mana.
Yep.
Or I could run Blasphemous Act, deals with a lot of stuff, and if I'm gonna end up wiping my Vial Smasher and my 4 copies of Vial Smasher away, I want to do
massive amounts of damage.
Exactly. I want to be doing 13, 26, whatever damage to people. And so in that effort, I did trade with somebody at the shop for an insurrection, and I got to a point where it was a 1v1 game.
Okay.
And the person I was playing against had a tremendous board of werewolves.
Ooh.
And, I would have died on the crackback, or if he had any way to protect himself from me taking all of his creatures and swinging
It was
back at
right.
him.
It was a last ditch effort to try to win the game.
Yep. So that's what I did, and I guess I got a cool story out of it. I got to, make some upgrades to some of my decks. I put the Xander's Lounge, the new Grixis Triome, in that deck. I have not yet gotten one of those Luxior swords, but I want to put that in my Vorinclex counters-based deck.
I did not open any out of my box. No. So at least I don't think I did. I'd have to go back through that binder and take a look. But, at least you could play Paper Magic, right, over the past week. Yeah. I've also been thinking about updating some of my EDH decks. So the Coma deck, the Giant Sea Serpent, I was looking at that today.
That deck is terrifying.
And it is. And it's trying to copy a lot of things. Well, I also have a Anima deck that I haven't really been doing much with. And it's kind of a split between Anima doing creature-based things and Landfall.
Okay.
Well, the good thing about those two decks is they share blue and green. And I've kind of been thinking about taking apart Anima anyways.
And putting some of the
beef out of that into the other one. So for the next time that I actually get to play EDH, whenever that might be, it might be slightly different.
We're coming into the high power level play, apparently. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching this live on YouTube, or if you're watching this after the fact, we're the SnapCast podcast, and we'd love it if you liked and subscribed.
Yes, please do. I haven't been playing Paper Magic, but I have, as always, been playing Modo, and I've been having some decent results in the leagues, but I did really well in a challenge over the weekend.
Was this Saturday's challenge?
No, this was Sunday's challenge.
My memory is so bad that I'm literally looking at the thing on the screen that says the Sunday Modern Challenge results that we have pulled up. And boom. We have, well, let's do our usual. Let's skip right down to the top 32 archetype breakdown.
Okay. So the 32 for the Sunday's challenge, we had 6 Blue-Red Murktide, pretty standard decks. 3 White X-Hammer. This is blue-white and mono-white. Now, blue-white has actually been picking up a little bit in play. I don't know what's changed a ton, but it's seeing more play. I'm totally okay with that. 2 4-color elementals, 2 black-green Yawgmoth, 2 Living End, 2 Amulet Titan, 2 blue-white Control, or 2 white X Control, 1 4-color Blink, Armadu Grief, which is Grief Blade, Blink, Stoneforge.
Yeah.
Calibrated Blast, which is a bit of a meme deck similar to Goblin Charbelcher, and actually the player that played this deck is typically playing Charbelcher.
So they're a combo player.
They're a combo-based player, and they top-aided with Calibrated Blast, which is a new card from MH2, and it is a meme, but we'll take a look at that in a little bit. Mono Green Tron, 1 Tamir Footfalls, a Mono Red Saga, which I think this was actually Mono Red Obosh.
Okay.
Red White Burn, Jund Wish Swift, Mono Blue Merfolk, Mono Black Coffers, Grixis Shadow Dredge, and Black Red Midrange. The Merfolk player was me. I top 20'd. I went 5-2. My losses were to the Mono Red Obosh player in round 1.
Okay.
And then one of the 4-color elemental players in round 5 or 6.
Gotcha. And I see a little further up here in 12th place, Mono Red Saga with Obosh.
Yep.
And then some of the 4-color players up in the top, very tip top. But we got to talk about Calibrated Blast.
We do, because this thing is sweet.
So, for those of you that have never seen the card Calibrated Blast, it is a 3-mana instant spell that says, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. Put the revealed card or cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. When you reveal a non-land card this way, Calibrated Blast deals damage equal to that card's mana value to any target.
Flashback 3 in double red, which it shouldn't have flashback. It should just have the two in red. And honestly, it also shouldn't be an instant, but that's besides the point. So the basis of this deck is they stack their creatures with high mana value or CMC cards. Most of the time, the creatures have 15 mana value.
Okay.
There's some that have 12, but otherwise, it's not a one-shot. But if you're playing Modern, a lot of the time, the decks that you're playing against have fetch lands. They deal themselves damage. You know, they look to get going at 15 or lower life.
Yeah.
And this deck, at that point, wants to one-shot them, which it can do.
Yeah.
It's kind of fragile because you can counter the blast or the chaos, the Theros of Chaos, which is a cascade spell that then gets the blast.
Right.
So it's essentially blast copies 5 and 6. But they're basically just looking to one-shot.
That's it. I want to get to 3 mana or 4 mana and hopefully one-shot you.
Yeah.
And then they've got to maybe get to 5 mana to actually blast you. Now, they're playing 38 lands, so they're not missing their lands.
Nope.
They've got 6 spells that will quasi 6 copies of Calibrated Blast. Mm-hmm. They can play it out of the graveyard if it gets countered. And then, yeah, they've got Akathon Worm, which is a 15 mana value spell. Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, which is a 15 mana spell. Cyana Draco, which is 12. And you can actually maybe able to cast that spell in this deck.
Mm-hmm.
And Shadow of Mortality, which, depending on in an aggro match, you might be able to cast this spell. So they've actually even got some things that they might be able to play.
Yeah. The Scion, they can, looking at their mana base with the new triads, triomes, thank you, they can easily get the basic land types to make this super cheap.
Yeah.
Between the tower, the headquarters, the stomping ground, and the proving ground, they can get the basic land types that they need to make this super cheap to play it on turn 2. But for the most part,
playing 8, 9, 10, 11 fetches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the most part, they're just trying to blast you on turn 3.
That's freaking great. And they're playing 4 Sun-Scorched Deserts. Again, just to another point of damage to get you down. Ramanap Ruins, sacrifice a desert, deal 2 damage to each opponent. That's so clever because they've got 6 deserts in here. At least.
Yep.
So, like, they can get that last 3 points or something.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
That's so much fun. And here we go. Like the first deck that we're talking about. And I know we're going to see a lot of this, but we're seeing Zeotora's Proving Ground and Rafine's Tower and Spar's Headquarters. Like, there's 3 of the new triomes in here, along with one of the creatures from New Capenna.
Yep. These are the only cards that made the top 8 of the Modern side that are from Streets of New Capenna. Yeah. We will see some of the lands throughout some of the other lists.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the Shadow there is the only new creature to make it into this top 8. And the same thing with Pioneer, mostly just the lands, maybe a few new cards, but these challenges are really meant for the competitive grinders, the decks that they know work well. You're not going to find too many terribly new stuff out of these lists.
No, this is the more competitive results.
Yeah,
for sure. But and we are seeing the Seiju will never go below $20 at this point.
And I was actually listening to a different different finance podcasts that was saying like they're surprised Beseju for being a rare in a standard legal set still being above $20 to $25 is crazy.
Yeah.
I think they just underestimated how good this card is.
Yeah. I mean, every deck that's playing green should be playing at least one.
Absolutely. Well, you basically want two. You want one because you want one to play and then one to use. Yeah. And I was saying that early on for even the blue one, with the Merfolk Discord community, we're talking about, we're only going to play one. I'm thinking you're going to want at least two.
Yeah.
So,
one thing that I will point out, and I've seen this in a few places, like I was looking at MTG Top 8 earlier and looking at recent Modern events, some of the Haruyu events and other things. I am seeing Yawgmoth everywhere. Like, and here it was in 4th place, and again in 7th place.
Yep. I think there was just the 2. There might have been 3.
I think there was just the 2.
Yep.
But I'm going to scroll down to look at this 20th place list because you specifically said you recognize that what was going on in the meta. So this is Zach's list from this challenge.
Yep.
Tell me about the choices that you made and why.
So I'd been noticing in a few leagues, I've been facing a lot of Yawgmoth. Usually 1, maybe 2, twice a league. So Merfolk does not typically have a great matchup for that. And I wanted more removal and more potential graveyard hate outside of the relics. So I decided to play 2 cages and 3 dismembers because dismember just really removes any problematic creature from that deck. The Yawgmoth himself, Wall of Blossoms or whatever that Wall of Roots, excuse me. So I just wanted more interaction and more graveyard hate. So I played cages and dismembers. Didn't face Yawgmoth at all, but the dismembers came in quite a bit for other matchups. So pretty happy with it. As I said, my only losses were to mono red and full color elementals, which are both kind of 50-50 matchups almost. So
the mono red deck, that's the one that's keeping the 3-mana Chandra wicked expensive.
Yes.
Chalices, because you are still respecting
Living End and Crashing Footfalls, even though again I didn't. I actually think I did play against Crashing Footfalls.
When I look at the list here, and I see Living End and some of the controls, the blanks, the Yawgmoths. One of the things that I'm seeing, the Living End. One of the things that I've been seeing a lot of, and this is actually like one of my snap this ups for this week, is Leyline of Sanctity and Leyline of the Void. I'm seeing it a bunch. Like they're showing up in sideboards everywhere, and they were last reprinted in M20.
Yeah, one of the core sets. One of the recent core sets.
So if I go to Modern on, and I do this every time, like trying to find the search page on MTG Top 8. But if we look for Leyline in Modern, and why did it make it 2 words? Because my computer wants to autocorrect us. No. Well, I did it again. Stop. Format Modern. All. Search.
No, still doing it.
Okay. You're killing me. So, like, I'm just going to grab this. This was a 20-player Haruyu event. And looking in the Grixis Reanimator for Leyline of the Void in the sideboard.
Well, I mean, let's just talk about how good of a card it is against maybe some of the other decks, right? So you have Grixis Reanimator, which it's being played in this deck, but it's also good against it. So if you're somebody that's
In the mirror.
If you're playing some other just blue-black control, it's good. It's good for you there. It's good against Living End. It's good against Yawgmoth because it shuts down their undying creatures.
Yep.
I know that's only 2 examples, but it does have
A lot
of play in a lot of other matchups. It might even be good against blue-red Murktide because it eats the graveyard, and
So it slows them down
DRC can't do anything, and Murktide is only a 3/3.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, and it's, again, I don't think that they're going to print it again in a while, but it's been a little while since it got printed. I think, so, and here's Living End with 3 Leyline of Sanctity. Who else did I see?
control. Blue-white control with 2 Leyline of Sanctity.
It's like, people are starting to bring this sort of classic modern tech back.
Yep.
Because it's so powerful to have free protection.
It is. And living in playing Leyline of Sanctity where they can't even cast it is really telling you that they're really afraid of graveyard-based decks, of burn, per se. And they want that free spell just to have that added protection. So.
I know, again, looking at the challenge that you played on Sunday, that we're not seeing much of the new stuff. Mm-hmm. But I was interested because I saw some of our friends posting the cards that they had ordered recently, and Leaf had mentioned last week Titan of Industry.
Yep.
And I've seen some people pick it up, but I haven't actually seen it show up in any results yet.
I don't think I saw that anywhere in this result either.
Yeah. Let's see. Blue-white, Hammer Time. Don't see anything new there, although 3 Mana Leak. Oh, Hushbringer. God, I love that card. A Meddling Mage in the sideboard of Blue-white Hammer. And 2 Teferi Time Ravelers. Okay, maybe they are still experimenting. Don't mind me. Let's see. Oh, the mono black deck. That's pretty good. They're playing Gristle Daddy.
Yep. Liliana of the Veil making a comeback now that Loris is gone.
Oh, somebody's playing the Royal Scions. What year is it? This
is a new tech that is kind of slowly gaining traction throughout Grixis and Murktide players. I don't know how much better it is because I've heard mixed results on Facebook and other places that they're playing it, they're cutting it. So I think it's just kind of a flavor of the month type thing.
Gotcha.
But
yeah, that's cool. All right. Ugh, Grixis. Dredge. It's always there, lurking.
Still there. And actually, that's what someone said about the Merfolk deck being posted in 32, was that it's just there to remind people that we're still a threat and just to scare them from time to time. I was like, I mean, that's kind of accurate. People don't respect it enough that every now and then we do well enough. So,
well, you also had shared, speaking of 3 Mana Chandra, the Pioneer Challenge.
Yep.
From earlier this weekend. And that was taken down by, looks like a mono red deck. 3 Chandra Dress to Kill. This is a Eidolon of the Great Revel, Torbrand, Thane, a red fell deck. Oh, that's good.
It looks like a pretty standard red list for Pioneer. The difference that I've been seeing is this one's running Goblin Chain Whirler out of the sideboard. I believe there's been an increase in maybe some token-based decks or Winota, and she uses a bunch. Winota. I don't know why I say that wrong. But they use mana dorks. So Llanowar Elves, Elvish Mystics, and this thing, if they stumble, this thing can chew all of them up.
Right, and then they have nothing to swing when Winota comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good tech. And let's see. We got our mono green.
Yep, Devotion to Green, which I've been playing this a little bit off and on with a few different splash colors, and this is probably what I'm going to end up building in Pioneer, mostly because I already have the Shrine to Nixes,
Yeah.
and it seems pretty easy to pick up. Everything is if you wanted to spec on anything, the Cavalier of Thorns is really cheap right now.
And that is a mythic, if I recall, from M20. Yeah.
I think it's, I heard today that it's still somewhere between like $6 and $9. It's still under $10. I don't know how high it's going to go. I don't think it'll be that high when Pioneer does start seeing play, when we start playing Pioneer at these bigger events. Oh, it's already jumped to above 10.
Let's see. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know what I'm picking up tonight.
Yeah. So look at this price graph.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Non-foil is higher than foil at the moment. Maybe pick up some foils.
Yeah. Well, let's see if that's actually reflected here. I mean, you can get 20. You can get a play set of foils for 80. But
yeah.
I mean, when they're $14 a piece plus shipping down here, what's another $5?
Right. Well,
I guess how many do you play?
You played the full 4.
Yeah.
But Nick Blanchard was talking about this list at pre-release, and he didn't think this deck has any legs to really stick around in the format, which is probably correct. Like it's a ramp deck that's pretty straightforward, and it's actually pretty easy to hinder. So maybe it's just because it's so early in the format, people are finally jumping into the format to play. Maybe it's just a splash in a bucket. But
yeah, I mean, most formats have a ramp deck.
They do.
And getting to Karn and then pull something like the Immortal Sun out, or Karn and pull God Pharaoh's statue out, and actually be able to play it, I think has a lot more staying power than just just a Green Beaters deck.
Probably.
I'm Nick is a smart guy. He's a great Magic player. Not taking anything away from him, but I think there's a reason why this deck has been pretty consistent in Pioneer. Like there's been a mono green Nykthos deck since the format started. And oh my goodness. I usually tell my phone to ignore text and stuff, but they keep popping up.
Yep. Well, the other ramp deck that's in the format is Lotus Field. And Lotus Field has kind of taken a dive. A lot of it, I don't know what's shifted about the format yet, but a lot of it's kind of disappeared. It's more Winota combo and then mid-range, Phoenix, and Control.
Gotcha.
So
somebody trying the good fight here with Spirits.
Yep. Bant Spirits. I think there was another mono white, mono blue Spirit list. I don't know if it was this weekend challenge or the Saturday challenge, but Spirits had a pretty good showing in both events.
I don't want to. I'm going to go check my notes here for a second. So I had put, and it's funny because I think you and I both have cards in this mono red deck that we were talking about snapping up.
Okay.
Is that true? Well, there's one. That's mine.
Mine's the other one. Mine's the Chandra.
Well, that's yours.
Yep.
So you were thinking that Chandra Dress to Kill might be a good card to consider picking up?
Yeah. I think we'd actually previously a little while ago had talked about Chandra Dress to Kill, but this was before Pioneer was announced for a Pro Tour format and before that announcement came out, so we were kind of low on it.
Right. But it was seeing play. Even there were even Obosh decks trying it in Modern.
Yes.
So now the borderless is, holy crap! Again, look at the recent price trajectories.
Yeah, it's kind of stabilizing, and I don't know if that's just because they've tried it, they know what it does now, and people are slowly acquiring their copies, so maybe it's stabilizing. I recently bought 2. I've got 2 coming in the mail because I think, it is a little bit pricey at this point, and I wish I jumped in on it sooner. But I think, as low as 25 is still a good price point to pick up.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, again, 3-mana planeswalkers. Jeez, Obnixilis is going nuts.
Yeah, I haven't looked at him yet.
He's awfully popular. So that's the red card that you're interested in this week. I am interested in Alpine Moon.
Okay.
Speaking of the ramp deck, speaking of shutting off a Nykthos, speaking of shutting off Lotus Field, even something as silly as a forest with a Wolfwillow Haven on it.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't help.
Because it says choose a non-basic land card name.
and I was thinking of Dampening Sphere.
Okay. Which that does see a lot of Pioneer play,
Yeah.
and it's basically for the Lotus Field decks.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I don't think it does anything against Shrine X.
No. Dampening Sphere?
No, it's
No.
it's just there's
Dampening.
no dampening. It's dampen. It's not even dampening.
Damping Sphere.
Oh, there you
My
go.
goodness. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces colorless instead.
Yeah. So it's good for because the mono green list that's using that enchantment,
yeah.
It does tap for 2, but it's basic land type.
Well, it's right. So it's when you tap a Wolfwillow Haven land, its controller adds an additional green.
Yep.
So if you put it on a forest and you tap that forest for 2 green,
Just produces colorless.
right, and
Okay.
just 1 colorless, right?
Yep.
Right. Maybe somebody will correct us in the chat. We haven't seen any comments yet. Let's see. I have too many screens open. All right. Let's go back. Look back at this Pioneer Challenge and just sort of scroll through. There's red-black deck, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Chandra Torch of Defiance. Like that card. Dampening Sphere on the sideboard. This is Thing in the Ice, Narset, Days Undoing, and Collective Defiance. No birds or anything. This is like the control version.
Yep. And this is playing Days Undoing, as you just said. That Days Undoing is another card that has supposedly recently spiked greatly. So if you have those, maybe pitch them. But it is a pretty standard control list for this point.
Yeah.
Their win con is to, put out Thing in the Ice in turn 2 and then flip it. And it flips into a giant monster and bounces your board state.
Yeah.
And it does that with pretty cheap effective spells, right? You have Consider, Opt, Spell Pierce for just some counter magic. Tablet of the Guilds is interesting out of the sideboard.
I'm looking at this whole list and there's a card I've never heard of. What the heck is this?
So this is a 2-mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you get to choose 2 colors, and then whenever you cast a spell, if it's at least one of the chosen colors, you gain a life for each of the chosen colors that it is.
Oh man!
So this is basically just gaining you 1 life for each spell you cast.
Yeah.
Right, because you name red or blue, and
and you hope to cast an expressive iteration.
Yeah, to gain 2.
But that's pretty good.
It's probably
It's
good
like
against
a
up against
Sundroplet?
burn. Yeah, sun droplet, but it's probably really good against burn, right? Because it's gaining you a life pretty much every time you play a spell. And burn cannot deal with multiple instances of life gain, regardless of what format it's in. If it's in Pioneer or Modern, it can't readily deal with that amount of life gain.
And looking to see, Roiling Vortex can stop your opponents from gaining life, but they have to pay mana into it every turn.
Yep.
And they have to, and this deals damage every turn to both players.
Mm-hmm.
So it is interesting. I don't see any way that they have here to deal with artifacts.
No, well, but red's typically really bad about dealing with. Well, no, I guess they do have a braid and destroy artifact stuff. So
maybe these guys are just, Ramiro to 1. It's just like, I'm going balls to the walls and not worrying about interaction, because that does seem like a cute tablet of the guilds. Well, if you see it again, you heard it here third. Here's Mono Blue Spirits.
Yep.
Curious Obsession. Running 1 Ottawara.
I've played both Spiritless, and I honestly don't know how these people are doing really well with these lists. Like, whenever anything I pick up in Pioneer has been pretty miserable, honestly. So I still have a lot to figure out with Pioneer.
Oh, Bring to Light.
This deck looks pretty sweet. It's a bunch of singletons. Bring to Light for a silver bullet that you might need, regardless of the situation.
Yep. Yep. And then Niv Mizzet Reborn to just fill your hand with value.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's looking fun. I'm definitely not seeing a whole lot of new Capenna cards here either.
No, outside of the lands.
Yeah, Proving Grounds, Anders Lounge. So we see the Triomes.
Yep.
I've seen some streamers play around with that Giada's Gift, the equipment.
Okay. Yep.
But I'm not seeing any results.
Yeah, I haven't been able to watch any other Magic content recently, so
yeah, it's been a busy week. I would say, and I feel the same way. But man, I am excited and somewhat intimidated. WotC made an announcement about announcements.
Okay.
Not that long ago. They basically are going to have a monthly announcement day.
Okay.
The next one is May 12th. And then 4 days after that, the Commander Legends Baldur's Gate previews start on the 16th.
Wow.
So what is today? The 4th?
Today is the 4th. Yep.
Right. So we've got less than 2 weeks. We'll start getting the previews for the Commander Legends set that comes out in June. Thinking. Unfinity, the newest unset that was supposed to come out for April Fools got pushed back to September now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't I actually think that our don't get rid of your mana bases just yet. We're not getting more shocks into the system.
Mm-hmm.
Basically until September now at this point. So
you think that's going to come with the unset?
The unset has shocklands. Infinity shocklands. So
did I miss this? Or did I see it, thought they were really... Oh, these are the space ones, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the space ones. And the thing is, we heard about this
ages
8 months ago.
Yeah.
Right?
This was ages ago.
And it was supposed to be, again, out for April 1st. I'll bring them up on screen. I mean, people are going to crack packs for these cards because they are gorgeous. And I think there's 3 varieties. There's a box topper variety, which is these. And then I'm looking at a bunch of random websites. But there's different versions of the art anyway.
Okay.
There's going to be like a normal-ish one and then these full art ones.
Okay. I think this was actually the reason why I was holding off on getting my playsets of the shocks, because I don't have playsets of the shocks at the moment, and trying to just get full art versions to match the fetch lands I have. Yeah. I was kind of waiting because I knew that these were somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
And I really wanted these ones, even though the themes aren't going to match. They're just going to be really cool. So,
and on that tip, I'm saying hold on to your shocklands until late summer.
Okay.
Just because you might want to play with them between now and then, and they can still, even though some people are going to try and get out of them before the reprint, I think that the value of those cards is not going to decrease in the next couple of months. Like, you know, it's May now, June, July, maybe end of July, August.
Mm-hmm.
You put them up for sale on eBay for whatever they are at that point, $35 a piece for some of the shocks.
Yeah.
And then the next month, well, you know, when people start cracking the other ones, get the $25 copies and you made $10 a piece.
Well, so the thing about the shock lands in the fetch lands, right, is there's so many versions of them now that a lot of players like to have all their play sets to match, right? They don't want a single version of this, a single version of that. They want them all to match. So, you know, Brad's looking at a Watery Grave listing here. They're basically $12 across the board, except for the secret layer drop ones.
Look at the market price.
Oh, so, yeah, so 16, 17, 27 for a OG print. So they're going to still hold value for the next few months.
Yeah.
You know, so you could pitch them now, but you're probably going to have to go without them if you still plan to use them. So definitely wait a little bit, check the pricing listings off and on, but they're going to hold value because people want matching prints.
Yeah. Yeah. You want, and like when those come out, it's the other thing you can do is all of the guys like me that want to get the full art ones are going to put our regular ones into the market.
Yep.
So then the price will tank because people that want to upgrade to the new cool are mostly going to offload their old classic. But like, look at this price graph where people have known that we were supposed to get that reprint, and it's just still gone up since Guilds of Ravnica.
Yeah, and it hit bottom 11.8. What's that? That's last year. That's back in November.
Yeah.
So if that was the low point back in November and it's climbed back up to this.
Yeah. Yeah. Conversely, the Commander Legends 2 Battle for Baldur's Gate is reprinting the original Battle Bond cycle. So if you have any of those that you're not playing, it might not be a bad idea to try and get out of those now.
Yeah.
It's, you know, there's going to be a bunch more luxury suites and morphic pools in the world.
Because they only had one printing in the last Commander set, right? Like that was the only place you could get. So there was Battle Bond. Yep.
Then I think they did I think there was a secret lair of these, but then it was in the other Commander Legend.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking of the Battle Bond. So
I got to double check.
Yeah,
because it is so hard to keep up with all of the different printings, even for something as ubiquitous as. Okay, so it got a Zendikar Rising Expedition.
Okay.
The Battle Bond printing, and then they're pre-selling from Battles of Baldur's Gate.
Okay, so you had a really fancy printing, and then the regular printing that you could open from Battle Bond.
I just want to look art card, and there was also an extended art, and that's what I was trying to figure out. So that's going to be that's in the Battles for Baldur's Gate as well. So when Battles for Baldur's Gate comes out, there's going to be a regular printing and a full art.
Okay.
So yeah, the original Battle Bond one may hold a small premium for being the original printing. Mm-hmm. This is not a 15-year-old Magic card. Like, nope. I don't get the nostalgia for Battle Bond. I would say if you're not playing those and you can get $25 a piece for them now, when Commander Legends comes out, they're going to be back down at $10.
Right. And I mean, with the next set, with this new Commander set dropping, what did we say, 3 weeks? You could probably wait 3 weeks to play this card if you needed to, right? I mean, pitch it now, wait 3 weeks, buy a new one. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, previews start in 14 days. So previews start in 2 weeks, and then there's usually like a week after previews end, and then the set comes out at the beginning of June. For those that haven't looked at the WotC information on it, you know, they've shown us the full art versions. They're also reprinting Reflecting Pool. Fireball and Lightning Bolt will be in this set. We talked a little bit about the Minsk and Boo Planeswalker commander. And one other thing that I'm going to suggest to people, this is a buy-a-box for the Elder Brain. I don't know if it's coming as foil or not foil. But I think that it is the superior art.
I agree. Yeah.
It's the borderless art. It's not just the... So there's the regular art. Then they have that art extended. Mm-hmm. And then this is a totally different, like, made-to-be full border art. And I think it's the best of the bunch.
I agree. Yep.
Anyway, I think that as far as financial advice today, if you have some of these original Battle Bond lands, it's probably getting close to the time to part with them. Because, again, there's just an imminent reprint.
Yep.
The shock lands, hold on to for a couple of months. And then, again, same deal. Like, get out of them before the price tanks. And the price, a lot of times you'll see the price tank in a week or two before a set comes out. Mm-hmm. But then you really see it a week or two after.
Yep.
Like, so that's what I'm thinking. And that's about all I got today.
Yeah,
What do you think, Zach?
No, that sounds good to me. Did you have any more? So you had 2 snap-ups. I had one other snap-up.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the Farewell borderless version.
Yeah.
Which I think...
Sorry, I took it off the screen.
You did.
You're like,
I think
it
was like $4, and then the regular one was going for about $7. But I really like the extended artwork here. So that's the just the regular extended. There's a borderless. That's different.
This is where we.
Well, TCG is just
there's a showcase.
Showcase. There we go.
Oh.
But this is only $7, and I like the artwork. I think it's pretty cool. It's a little bit different than the regular one, obviously.
Yeah.
But this one's $7. And that's non-foil. If you don't want to spend 14 or whatever the regular one was, I think it was closer to 10. You can get the showcase one. It's fairly cheaper.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. I think it's interesting because when I look at this art, it doesn't scream white card to me like the other one. Just screams white wrath to me. This one is much more colorful. This actually reminds me of the Valentine's Day Secret Lair cards a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a little bit of a softer art style and pastel-y colors. I kind of like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's seen tons of play in blue-white controllers throughout Pioneer.
Yep.
And maybe a little bit in EDH and in Modern, but obviously it's also good in EDH, right? Because you get to exile so many different things. Creatures, artifacts, enchantments, graveyards. It hits everything. Other than Planeswalkers. But for EDH, it's good. It's good. For Pioneer, it's great.
Yeah.
And it's under the non-foil of this artwork is under $10.
All right. I'm in. You talked me into it. I will definitely pick one of those up.
So, that's it for today. As always, you guys, thank you for watching or listening to us on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. You can find me on Twitter at mo_town111 or Magic Online at motown123. How about you, Brad?
I am on the Twitters at the SnapCast Pod. The SnapCast Pod.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for watching, and have a good night.
We'll see you next week, Zach.